Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new. In this video I'm going to do another one of my product trials. I haven't done one in a little bit, and even though I know I did one a couple of weeks ago about the foaming mask that I picked up from Kmart, it wasn't necessarily a product trial, it was just kind of an excuse for me to test it out and look a bit stupid. But I wanted to do another product trials, and I decided to do it on the OXX foundation that I hauled not that long ago, and I did a full face using OXX Cosmetics makeup, again probably not that long ago, about a week or two ago. But I decided to dedicate an entire video to this foundation because I had quite a bad experience of it in that video. It was breaking up a lot on my forehead and it just wasn't applying very well. But because I had tried a new primer and sponge, and basically every product on my face was brand new for me, I wanted to give it a fair shot using products that I already know that I love and that work well on my skin, to see if the foundation is the problem or if it was sort of like a combination of all of those factors. So I thought I would actually dedicate a whole product trial video just to this foundation. And if you haven't seen any of my product trial videos before, basically what I do is apply it half and half on my face using different techniques. So using a sponge on one side and a brush on the other side. And I always use a primer because I use a primer every day when I apply my makeup anyway, so I don't really see the point for me to try it without a primer, because I would always put a primer with it anyway, and then I give it all of the extra help that I would give my regular foundation. So I will put powder on over the top of it and I will set it down with a setting spray, so I give it the best possible chance I possibly can to let this foundation perform under the best conditions. And then I essentially wear the foundation all day, and then I check back in with you at the end of the day to show my face and how it actually has worn out throughout the day. So I'm going to jump straight into it and apply my primer. Today I'm going to use the NYX Shine Killer Primer. I really like this one. It is just a silicone based primer. Okay, so now I'm going to just go straight ahead and start putting on the foundation. So I'm not going to talk too much about it because I have spoken about it now in 2 other videos, but this is the foundation. Yes, it is breaking up in the bottle, as I have shown several times. So I'm just going to go straight in. I'll do this side with the sponge and then this side with the brush. And I have got my trusty stained sponge here. So I'm going to just go straight in on the skin and then buff it out. Okay, so there is one half of my face with it blended in with a sponge. I actually think the coverage of this isn't too bad. As you can see, it has very easily cancelled out any of the redness in my skin and has kind of evened out the tone. But as it did in that original video when I was first trialing it, it is just a shifting foundation. So with the sponge, if you work with it too much, it will start to shift off wherever you're trying to put the product. Like there, you can just see it is quite a wet foundation, and if you just accidentally touch your face, it will like wipe straight off. So you've just got to be careful. But to be fair, it doesn't look as bad today as what it did the first time I tried this. So I'm just going to go straight in on the other side now and even it out using a brush. Okay, so there it is, just with one layer of the brush. Coverage wise, it doesn't actually look that much different. However, my face looks very wet. Of course, someone would start with a chainsaw outside while I'm trying to film. I'm just going to keep going, so I'm very sorry if the chainsaw irritates you, but there's not really much I can do about it. Yeah, so my face looks, oh my God. My face looks very wet, and it is extremely wet. So if I was to touch my face now, all of this foundation would come off in a gloppy mess. It is very, very wet. However, it is dewy. So it looks like that real dewy look, but it does almost look like I've been sweating, which does confuse me because the foundation says that it is matte. It is definitely 120% not matte. Even just sitting here, it's not drying down. I think you would absolutely have to powder this for it to dry down into a matte finish. The issue that I had on my forehead is still happening, where it is just patching off and looking a little bit cakey. I think now, having tried 2 or 3 different kind of applications with this foundation, I think that is actually the foundation. I don't think I would need to add a second layer of the foundation, because for me this is not a bad coverage for everyday wear. I would still probably use some concealer just under my eyes and on top of my eyelids there, as like you can see it's already starting to crease quite bad there on my lid. I will just come scarily close just so you can see my forehead a little bit better. So you can see there in the center of my forehead I have like a patch of sort of redness, and that's just my natural skin poking through the foundation there, and it is just patchy. You can really see it on my nose where it's looking really quite patchy and cakey. And then you have a lovely close-up there of my psoriasis. You're welcome. But yeah, so that is where we are at the moment. Okay, so that is where I'm going to leave it for the moment, and I am going to powder and do basically the rest of my makeup as I normally would, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have got on my full face now, and the other makeup went on over the top of the foundation really without much problem. It is patching a little bit again on my forehead, and like it's still quite patchy on my nose, but everywhere else, like where I was putting down my blush and my highlight, it didn't pick up the product or move it. Having said that, I did some very heavy baking, so I really quite powdered my face and packed on a setting powder and let it sit on my face for a good 5 minutes. So as you can see, I do not have the wet, slick, oily look anymore to my skin, so I have actually made this foundation matte as it's supposed to be. But that is it for the moment. So this is what my face looks like now after setting it with powder and also the NYX matte setting spray, I think that's what it's called. So I have done all of those steps as I would on a regular basis, and this is what we're going to start off with, and then I will check back in with you at the end of the day and we will see where we're at. Okay, so it is the end of the day now. I have been wearing this foundation for about 8 or 9 hours, and my face shows it. As you can tell, I gave up on my eyelashes about 4 hours ago and just pulled them off. Now, it is really quite strange in like real life looking at the makeup in a mirror. It actually does not look that bad at all. It looks far better than what I would have expected it to look at this point of time, especially given my first impression video of it. I was expecting this foundation to completely and utterly break up within an hour. It has not done that. When looking in a mirror, I have to be honest, my face actually looks really quite good, but looking in it at my computer monitor through what the phone can see, I don't look that fantastic. So what I can immediately notice looking at the monitor is this strip here. Now at first I thought that meant I had left some of my baking powder on my face all day, but I haven't. What it actually is the highlighter I was using. Now I did also put on the OXX highlighter trio, and this is actually the highlighter, but it has sort of shifted and kind of moved up under my eyes. Now, I was touching my face all day today. I was filming a lookbook, so I was getting in and out of clothes all the time. So I did really put this foundation through its paces. It was rubbed and touched and pushed and pulled, and it actually held up a lot better than what I thought it would have. But this situation here with the highlighter is it's just a little bit strange. But if I had a face powder and if I touched this up, to be perfectly honest, I would be okay to go out in public. I would probably just like add some mascara or something, but I would not hate this. if this was my face and I had to quickly touch it up. I think it is completely workable. Obviously, other parts of my makeup, like my lipstick, has worn off, and my eyeshadow is starting to crack and crease a little bit. But as for the actual foundation, I am super impressed, actually. This has really surpassed my expectations and done a lot better than what I thought it would. So I will just come nice and scary close. So as you can see there, the foundation has rubbed off quite substantially on my forehead. So again, if I was to go out, I would just powder that to sort of make it look a little bit more even. But having said that, I do have a studio light right in front of me, so that is making tiny flaws very, very, very obvious. So in, you know, up close and personal in real life, you probably would notice it, but if I was from far away or whatever, you probably wouldn't notice it that much. But it has broken down on my forehead, and you can see it has also patched off a fair bit on my nose, and I do have it settling on the sides of my nose there as well. In terms of the rest of my face, I think it has sat on quite okay. My blush has stayed-ish. Like I do have still some colour on my cheeks. Again, me looking at this in a mirror close up looks much better than what it does at the moment with a studio light shining straight on my face. That is really highlighting any problems whatsoever. I mean, you can even really clearly see my moustache with the studio light. So all flaws are brought out by a studio light. But that's, you know, that's the foundation after 8 or 9 hours wear. And to be perfectly honest, for the $3 or $4 that I paid for this foundation, I think that's absolutely fantastic. I would wear this foundation again. I think the reason why I didn't super agree with it last time was because I wasn't expecting the foundation to be so oily, almost is a word I would use, because when it went onto my skin it was so wet and it didn't set down. It had to be powdered in order for it to set down. I was expecting it to set a lot faster, and I was also expecting it to set matte, and because that's the kind of foundation that it claims to be. But with this foundation on my skin, it does not set down matte unless I powder it down. And as I said at the beginning of this video, after I had finished the rest of my makeup, I really powdered this down. Like, I baked this for a good 10 minutes, 5 minutes. So it was given the best possible chance to succeed. So to be fair, on an everyday wear, like I said, in a mirror right now, this doesn't look half bad. It looks like I could just get some powder and rub it on my face and I would be good to go. It would take down some of the shine, because to be fair, this foundation has not let a lot of my natural oils come through. My skin type is not very oily anyway, but at the end of a long day, and it has been quite warm here today, I would normally be a little bit more oily. I think that is partly to do with the fact that I did use so much powder to set this down. And also too, I have used some of my favorite primers and setting sprays, so it all kind of helps to work together to make my base the way it was. For a few dollars, this foundation will definitely get you by in a jam. And I think for most people, this foundation would be absolutely fine, because most people would touch up throughout the day. And I did not touch this up at all throughout the day. I didn't get my powder and I didn't do anything. Once I had set it down with the setting spray, that was it. I didn't touch it again. I will say though, my skin knows it has makeup on it at the moment. It feels a little bit cakey, and it does feel it feels greasy, although I don't believe I look particularly greasy, but I feel like I really just want to like scratch this off my face. But even if just like touching my forehead now, you can sort of see that the makeup is coming off. I think my initial impressions of this foundation being quite wet is still true, because throughout the day, if you are touching your face, this foundation will shift, and I don't think it matters how much powder you put on it. But for a couple of dollars, I really don't think this foundation is very bad. It will get you through in a bind. But that just about wraps it up for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy this video. Subscribe if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.